I'm being joined tonight by two former members of the National Assembly. Incidentally, well, it looks like deja vu. The last time that I had any of them here, we were here together in the same seat, sitting in the same posture and the same position. Senator Shehu Sani and Senator Ita Enang. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you very much.
It does look, when we have knotty issues, we call upon both of you, and incidentally, the last time, both of you were here. So thank you so much. I appreciate your coming.
Thanks for inviting us.
With the experience that you've had in the National Assembly, that's the reason why we thought it was very good for us to have you. But first and foremost, let's touch on the issue of the convention of your party. You have between now the 18th and the February 22 to conduct the National Convention. If my memory serves me right, within the procedure of conducting that kind of process, you need to set up subcommittees. You need to screen the logistics. Is that a good timing, the duration between now and then?
I'm believing that all that had been taken care of, and there is also the question of the zonal congresses to produce some another level of officers. And all this must have been done, and it had been done, and I'm convinced that we are ready, because there has been quite some heat on the convention and extraordinary, the caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee on the need to conduct the convention. I think this has been done, and I also believe that the statutory notices that has to be served on the Independent National Electoral Commission before the date of the convention, because you have to notify INEC a certain number of days before the date of convention. You have to negotiate, notify other agencies. All that has been taken account of, and nothing will stop the convention. Members of the party are very anxious to have the convention, so that if the Electoral Act comes into effect, the party will not be caught unawares.
Does it not look like a stampede, or something like a knee-jerk reaction to the clamor in the party? Because a lot of people want the convention to happen, but realistically speaking, Senator, the 4 weeks, 3 weeks, is it enough to plan a national convention to bring everybody to Abuja?
The party caretaker committee has been in place, so they are not just going to begin the planning of the convention now. They have been in place for close to 2 years now, almost 2 years now. They were meant for 6 months. They added another one, and there were some legislative questions, legal questions as to whether the extension granted has legal foundation and all that. All that we're trying to overcome. So within all this period, they were planning the convention. So they are not going to begin the planning just from today that they have announced the date.
26th of February.
No, they're not beginning.
I'm saying no. Yeah. I'm going. I'm not going to.
26th of February.
26th of February is a date.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the question I'm going to ask next is, how crucial would this election be for your party, considering that you went from one crisis, the Oshiomhole era, to a temporary measure? Now you are going into these, and you have a primaries just a few weeks after the convention. The pressure is on your party. You want to sustain, you want to remain in power. The PDP wants you out of power. Your party is under pressure, isn't it?
Our party is not under pressure at all, because the party is working according to the law, according to its plans, and in accordance with the dictates of what is right in running a political party. So we don't have a challenge. All we had was the need to have a proper Congress conducted, and where there are challenges, the conciliation committee is working on bringing all the parties together. So our party is not under any challenge at all, and it's not under any pressure.
You're speaking like a lawyer party man and like a politician.
Yes, we have issues, but those issues are domestic. Those issues are family affair.
Yeah,
which we are going to,
I was waiting for you to say the family affair.
It's a family affair.
Because that is a popular one.
Yes, it's a family affair.
But before I bring Senator Shehu here, because he has a very good understanding of the running of the APC, and his party has said that your party is not capable of putting together a national convention. But
I know he wouldn't say that, because he knows our capacity and our capability, and and he knows where he is now and the challenges they have. But that's not for
today. Is that
today.
what you're going to say,
that's not for today.
Senator Sani?
Yeah.
Because your party has criticized the APC of not being capable of conducting a national convention. But they fixed the date now. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, you see, APC is a merger of people from different political tendencies, ideas, philosophies, and history. And then the differences is now self-evident in the sense that the party has clusters of power. And the fear of the convention is which of these clusters is going to control the brain, the focus, the heart of the party. So what you see within the APC is simply their inability to manage themselves as a ruling party and also be able to restore order. APC has no crisis-solving mechanism, and that is why right from the beginning, it had all these crises that has generated and landed it to where it is today. They're supposed to have done their convention a long time ago. But even this 26, I believe that it may not be certain that they will have that convention in that 26.
I'm not sure if there is going to be an election on that day, because I understand that INEC probably had fixed a by-election on that day. But that's for your party to deal with. But, Senator, I guess that was one of the reasons, because when you said they don't have the mechanism to resolve their crisis, you went to see the president at some point when you had issue. At some point, you couldn't find a solution, and you had to get to the exit door. You see that the pressure on the APC now, your party is screaming you want to chase them out of prominence. But if they get it right, does that in any way give you as an opposition party a problem? Because I know what you are working on is for them not to get their acts right.
Well, if you go through the history of political parties in Africa, particularly in Nigeria in the last 22 years, the PDP lost power in 2015 as a result of an implosion within the realm of the party. And so we are expecting the same thing to happen with the APC. If you remember, there was a walkout during the PDP convention, and those people were let go, and then they became the final burial of the party. So we are hoping that by 26th of February, there will be a walkout of that convention when some of these clusters within power have lost their places within the realm. So it is not, it's expected that by 26, there will be no APC after 26, and then the PDP will take over power.
Does that look like a prophecy or a prediction? Because in football, you predict. And these days, you have a lot of spiritualists who make prophecies and they say they see the future, but I mean, they are football predictions. Is that a prediction for you or something that you know for sure that will happen?
Well, I'm not a psychic or a soothsayer or a prophet, but what I know is that the symptoms of an implosion is very clear. You have all sort of, there is the Tinubu side, then you have the Fayemi Mechi side, and then you have the president with the Badaru and Buni, and who is a nice person. He's managing the party from what I can see, but the crisis is beyond him. And then others. So to me, I believe that even
the president cannot fix as the leader of the party.
I don't think the president has has been so active in the last 6 years in terms of solving problems of the party. And if not, many of us couldn't have lived. Let me tell you what, Vadim. There was crisis in Kano, and it was left to fester until the like of Konkosu pulled out of the party. You have it in Kaduna, you have it in other states. So what I expected could have been to have put his feet on the ground when you have crises like this, and sit down and address these issues. But as far as the APC, it's just an autopilot. They're just moving, and the situation takes care of itself. And I hope that by 26th of February, my friend here will think of coming back to his former party.
I think I want to.
Is it possible that you go back home?
No. Now, let me respond
Akwa
to.
Ibom is a PDP state,
Okay.
so we
They're
hope,
holding it in trust, and we're taking it over
hope
in
that you will
2023.
come back to.
Now, I want the PDP to be realistic, because what my brother has said is that they are not prepared to contest election on win on their own merit, strength, and character. That they are winning, that they are counting on implosion and trouble in APC. That is how they intend to take over. No, we're not going to give you that chance. What we've done as a party is that, why a lot of these things appear to have first is that we had a team which went to 2012, 2013, and looked at the problems that PDP had, which were not properly handled, and which led to a kind of implosion, which scattered PDP. And yes, APC came strong, and it was able to take over. Now, we will not allow that kind of situation to happen again. So don't count on the weakness of APC to come up. Count on the strength of your manifesto and what you're able to do.
Senator,
we are coming up.
Senator,
we are coming up.
I mean,
on
what they say about the weather, that in the morning,
Yeah.
you can almost predict what happens in the evening.
No,
I mean, the question is that when you see some of these scenarios play out in the crisis leading up to a national convention, and that was the Bamanga took us of this word. The president, former president Jonathan of this world,
and the vice president,
we're optimistic. I mean, in months like this, leading up to the convention, until we saw a major walkout of the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi at the convention. I was personally there on the ground covering the event when we saw them walk out. It culminated into what we now saw as the new PDP and a merger into the APC. So now the question is, your party has some of the symptoms, as Senator Shehu Sani. How are you able? Because one of the ways to resolve it is when you have a leader who comes in and helps to douse the situation.
I'm sure that I'm confident that you are aware, he is aware, of the steps that His Excellency Mr. President has taken. At every step that the party wants to go, they go to brief Mr. President, and they have his nod. They brief the other leaders, and they have their nod. And when they seem to have an issue which they appear to have gone so divisive, they also have an internal mechanism. Part of the delay in holding the convention was to galvanize the entirety of the different families, what he calls and what is actual fact are the tendencies within the party. There is the ACN tendency. There is the CPC tendency. There is the ANPP tendency. There are different families that came together, and there is the new PDP tendency, about 4 or 5 blocks. Now, the essence of what we've been trying to do was to make sure that these blocks don't just exist still within the party, but that these blocks are able to be galvanized into one political party.
All right.
No.
Senator,
so
because we're due for a break.
What we've done is to make sure that this tendencies no more occur. That is why we've opened the field that every party can declare for every office. No. It doesn't matter where, and we're conscious.
In the next few days, maybe it will be clearer when we see the screening committee and other committee, because it does look like for those who have come out for the national chairmanship of the APC, they are almost all of them are from the north, from Ali Modu Sharif to Senator Musa to
part of what we've done. That is part of the,
but there's still that contention, whether it is the northeast or the north central. That has not been resolved. But we'll take a breather and we'll get your closing moment. Don't forget, one of the agenda is also to talk about the electoral bill. But we'll take a breather, everyone, and we get to speak more with Senators Itayanang and Shehu Sani. And also, we turn our attention, after we wrap up with them, to Honorable Stella Okotete, the APC national woman leader, on the state of affairs of the APC. They had a convention today, the voice of women in the ruling party and the future of the APC. The women are speaking up. Stay with us, everyone. Much more on the program. We have so much more to deal with tonight on the program. such a little time we have left on the program, but we're going to deal with those issues. Let's go into the business of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the expectations of Nigerians on the National Assembly when they resume today. Let's get back to my panel tonight, Senator Itayanang and Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'll come to you, Senator Shehu Sani. I would have loved to ask you that if your party survived the primary, if you survive the national convention, survive the primaries, then it will be the Armageddon probably will not happen as some people have predicted. But I think that's another talk for another day. But let's focus on the electoral bill. Senator, did you expect what happened today on the floor, based on the kind of reactions Nigerians gave when the president turned down the assent today and passed it on to the National Assembly? And people were expecting that when they resume today, there will be an urgent reaction to it. Was it what you were expecting?
Well, you see, the whole idea of parliamentary action to address the electoral challenges we have in Nigeria through amendment was informed by the events that had happened in the past elections. How do we craft and perfect our elections that will have a semblance of credibility, transparency, and integrity? And as such, the idea of amending the act comes into play. Now, the most novel input in that was the electronic transmission of result and direct primaries. Despite people have been raising issues about the character and the conduct of the present National Assembly, but they have earned praises by being able to pass a bill that will make it possible for INEC to transmit results directly and also for political parties to conduct direct primaries that will expunge the influence of money. But now, the bill being sent to the president and then returned, it appears that the whole two chambers were caught unaware, and they virtually have no plan B of what to do. So the bill was sent back, and then there were issues that came out of it. Some said they have to go back to their constituents and seek public opinion, and some said they will need to do this, do that, and then the issues of the bill before the House of Reps and that of the Senate differs, and this is where we are. To me, I believe they should know, both the National Assembly and the President, if there is any legacy they will leave behind for this country, is to let us have a law, a new act, electoral act, that will make the 2020 elections better than that of 2019. If they fail in this, they fail in everything.
If you were on that floor today, assuming you were still in the red chambers, what would you have said?
To me, immediately the president returned the bill to us, I will raise my hand, and hopefully I'm being called upon. I will call for the veto of the presidential objection.
You think that the minority or the opposition voice on the floor in the National Assembly, as it is presently constituted, have that number?
Well, you asked me of what I can do, but I can tell you that I will raise my hand up and demand to speak and demand that the bill should be passed by the National Assembly. That is it. So it doesn't matter whether it goes with the majority, but as far as my conviction and conscience is concerned, I believe that having a bill with a direct electronic transmission of result and also direct primaries will address a lot of our electoral challenges as we have as a country.
I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now and right on the spot, Senator, because you have been a liaison between the president and the National Assembly. Yeah. You have also been in the National Assembly. Yeah. So you've been in the presidency, you've been on both sides at different times. So in this sense, for a president that rejected this similar bill on the second time within the last 3 years, how does it come to you? Because public perception is one thing. Because when one thing happens repeatedly, then it becomes like a trend. How does this come to you as a chieftain of the APC, considering the fact that people will say you have the majority in the executive and you're the majority in the National Assembly?
Now, I'll speak as a liaison, as it were, the experience I had. I'll speak as a lawyer. I'll speak as a legislator. Now, this bill has not been rejected twice. It has been, the assent has been declined about 4 times, because in the 8th Assembly, I think it was 3 times that it went. Because first time, it had so many issues, drafting errors and so on. Second time, when there was the need for amendment, the president raised issues as to what were the deficiencies. What the National Assembly did was to correct those deficiencies. After correcting the deficiencies, they sent the corrected version of deficiencies only to the president. They did not match the sections that Mr. President had objections to with the ones that that were earlier passed. So it was as if telling the president, this is the corrections you needed. I have corrected it. Merge it with the original one we gave you. Now, that was the second time. The third time, there were other issues, and of course, it became too close to election. And there is this matter which I've always raised to the National Assembly, that Nigeria is a state party to certain state protocols, conventions, and treaties that on election management and election management bodies, that when it is too close to an election and you pass an electoral act, it will be difficult for the political parties, the participants in the election, to be able, and the election management bodies, even the civil to follow the to comply with it, an election will be thwarted. Now, on the where we are now on the bill, it will not be appropriate for the legislature to think of overriding Mr. President's
veto.
Yes, it will not be appropriate because, one, it will be difficult. Mr. President has stated the reasons, and even these reasons are constitutional. Even when this bill was passed, I share opinion that I am not for or against direct or indirect primaries, but it should be the business of each of the political parties to determine the mode of the conduct of its own primaries. So what Mr. President has said to the National Assembly in withholding assent is, look at this section. We cannot dictate for every political party because the Constitution has given each political party the right to have its own constitution and its own rules. And it is not every political party that has the same capacity and ability. So Mr. President is right. So what the National Assembly should do now, I listened to the Honorable Speaker, Bajabi Amila Esquire, the learned speaker. I also listened to His Excellency the Senate President. Fortunately, at the time that the bill had the 3 declines from Mr. President, the Senate President was the leader of the Senate. His Excellency Ahmad Lawan was the leader of the Senate. And the Speaker now, His Excellency Femi Bajame, was the leader of the House. They were the persons presenting the issues. I was the liaison between the presidency and the National Assembly, the Senate. Now, we all had these issues. So what I urge them to do now is, listening to the president, the Senate, the Speaker, he said that there is a version that the public has, which is different from what they may have passed. He wonders how that happens. Now, I share opinion on how that happens and how should be corrected. The members should have the vote and proceedings. And the vote and proceedings of the Senate and the vote and proceedings of the House on the day that the harmonized bill was passed should be the only document that is taken as the authentic and should be the one that advises the clerk to the National Assembly and the clerk to forward to Mr. President. If they have this version, which is, if they have the vote on proceedings of the Senate and the House being one document, that is what the clerk will have, and that is what the public will have. The public will have certain documents, which is perhaps the committee report, and persons who have committee reports, you are familiar with the process. will take it and share with the public as if that is what the National Assembly has passed. The National Assembly should just avoid that situation.
One would be wondering how things become so messy, and it does look like there's no synergy between the National Assembly.
It's not messy with respect.
It does look a lot of the controversy.
Taking the document which they are not supposed to take.
But I'm
not
even saying the synergy and the
take.
harmonization between the National Assembly and the executive. But let's wrap up because we just have about 60 seconds. I'd like to get your final thought on this issue. What is the way forward from your point of view?
Well, first of all, from what I can see from the statement of Lawal and Bajamiela, I think they lack the courage to do what is right. And the courage to do what is right is to override the president and approve the bill. First of all, when they passed that bill, the comment that came from them was that they have taken power back to Nigerians. And then the president rejected this bill. And then they just don't know what to do. What Bajamiela and Lawan say, just semantics. They have no concrete plan or what to do. Right. Nigerians need a credible electoral process. And already they have a bill which Nigerians were happy with. Right. So if Nigerians accepted this bill, why should Mr. President oppose it? If the president opposes it, the next thing Bajamiela and Lawan should do, let them have the courage. Right. Override him and approve that together.
We're totally out of time, but I'll give Senator Itayanang 10 seconds. I don't know how you want to do it. Your final thought.
My final thought is that the National Assembly is right, Senate and House, to reconsider the bill and look at the offensive or objectionable provisions and then pass it before forwarding to Mr. President. They also have to look at issues of drafting, referencing, and cross-referencing because the president or a governor cannot correct anything. So if you have anything wrong there, it could be because the president cannot add to anything and cannot delete
55 seconds now.
So, Mr. President, the National Assembly should just reconsider, pass, and forward to Mr. President, and should do editing, re-editing, and further scrutiny of the bill.
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Senator Itayanang, Senator Shehu Sani, thank you so much
for
coming.
Thank you very much.